Hi Aquarius, welcome to 8 of Cups Tarot and welcome to your cards for January of 2021. Couple of things rather quickly. These videos are going to be a lot shorter than they usually are, and they are late because my entire family has had COVID over Christmas and New Year's, so I'm still recuperating. As well, you're probably going to hear some noises outside. My little guy is just starting to feel good enough to play, so please bear that in mind. If it's distracting, I'm so sorry, but I just don't have the heart to tell him to quiet down. So looking into 2021, super exciting that 2020 is over, to say the least. Also super excited for you guys. This kind of moves all of that action out of your 12th house and into your first, and do probably a place that is much more manageable, maybe not so heavy and emotionally draining as the 12th house oftentimes can be. However, for a lot of you, this is probably the beginning of, if not just a normal Saturn transit, quite possibly a Saturn return of some sort, your first, second, or even your third Saturn return, complicating Saturn further. It's an interesting time because the beginning of January is so heavily focused on Saturn. We have a lot of placements in Capricorn. So the personal planets are all answering to Saturn, and it takes on a very karmic tone. As well, we're not going to feel an immense amount of relief from the craziness, you know, the politics, the stuff going on in the news and throughout the collective. That stuff isn't really going to settle down until about March. So, you know, try not to focus so much on, come on, I thought 2021 was going to be different. For the first couple of months, it's going to feel as though those things are still coming to a culmination in some way. So the good news is you are coming out as King of Swords. This is super Aquarius vibe here. I like this for you. I do have to say I was super drawn to all of the blue within your cards, and I'll be showing you from time to time. But what I feel and see with that blue, certainly there's going to be communication, or communication will be a major theme of the month. Maybe this could be anything from having to answer a lot of emails, or maybe getting back into the swing of things at work. Could be a lot of emotional situations that are coming to a culmination, calling for some pretty heavy conversations. Now, the King of Swords is not somebody who's going to get lost in the emotional part of it, right? This tells me that you're in the place of being able to emotionally detach, let things go, let things be. You know, not really, this is not somebody that's going to hang on or resist change in a lot of ways. Now, the thing about Aquarius is that even though you're known for the rebellion, you're known for kind of not carrying the normal societal ways in a lot of ways. You know, Aquarius likes to live a kind of outside of the box. However, you're still Saturn ruled. So there's still responsibility, there's still destiny at play, there's still a path and a purpose that Aquarius often needs to find. They find themselves in those things. I see this as you having a lot of attention on your future. I see this as you having a lot of foresight this month. Maybe this is representative of some of the things you've had to deal with throughout 2020. Now, I say that because the first two cards out are the King of Wands in reverse and the Five of Pentacles. And to me, this is kind of the epitome of consequences for some bad decisions. You know, Ace or a King of Wands in reverse can be anyone or anything like overspending, blowing the budget, not saving money. It could be maybe, you know, cheating on a significant relationship in your life. Oftentimes these things come out when we have the 12th house transits, and you just had one of the most insane 12th house transits anyone will ever live through. So in a lot of ways, maybe some bad decisions that you had made, maybe in some ways where you were giving up your control, maybe to addictions or, you know, just ultimate desires or materialism. This could have been just placing your materialism above anything else. could have been maybe the universe has shown you recently, and this feels more so in the past than something that's going on right now. So I don't want any Aquarius to feel like, you know, something bad is about to happen. This feels like this is stuff that's already been brought to your attention. Now, the Five of Pentacles is a place where we feel ostracized, when we feel like we don't have a lot of support. We could be in a place financially where we don't feel like we have support. So if you've overspent the budget, you don't have a lot of money, or you feel like you didn't put yourself in a good position to go back to school, whatever factor this is, the Five of Pentacles often is a reflection of the consequences. You realizing that by not keeping money in savings, or by running up the credit card, you know, the bigger picture is, how do you take better care about yourself? And that's what Saturn's going to do for you, without a doubt. Saturn will force you to kind of become your own father. It's the indictment into adulthood. You know, you go off to college and you have a really good time because you're not quite an adult yet. But the Saturn return happens right around 28 years old. You know, you reach that upwards of your 30s, and oftentimes society says, okay, well, it's time to start doing the big things. It's time to start getting settled into a career, buying your first home, getting married, having children, starting families, whatever it is, whatever expectations you put on yourself. You know, this might be indicative of maybe even just subconsciously where you felt like you've let yourself down. Maybe you didn't strategically plan. Maybe you didn't prepare for these things. So it's an element of having to deal with the consequences, like I said, but there are very valuable lessons within them. This doesn't feel all that painful. And again, it feels as though it's something that you're coming out of. Now, what I like is your archetype energy, which is that of the Keros. The Keros is right above that Five of Pentacles. And just, again, an emphasis on the blue, including the blue eye, often indicative of kind of observing. Also with the King of Swords, there's a level of observance here, maybe where you're able to kind of take a step back and look at yourself from a less defensive vantage point, okay? Now, I like to read these to you because I'm not all that familiar with these archetype cards, so I wouldn't want to leave anything out that is valuable or important for you. Keros, mythic time and synchronicity. We have all had the experience of timelessness, of life beyond the ticking of the clock. It may be felt as time standing still, slow motion, or losing track of time on a walk or in a lovely conversation. This is known as mythic time, and it is the territory of Keros. This card suggests there is a secondary time continuum that goes beyond any earthly clocks and schedules. Within this nonlinear realm, we access divine timing. A single moment ripens with auspiciousness, and our actions change the trajectory of our whole life. Time becomes a living thing that watches over us and tells us precisely when to speak or act. When this card appears, it is all about patience and precision. No clocks can guide you. Wait for the rush of inner knowing and not a moment longer. Now, one of the things that I get, because that's right above the Five of Pentacles, is that in some ways, the universe might have put you in a position where there's not much to lose, okay? Now, I don't say that in a negative way, but if there has been something that's happened in 2020 that's kind of left you either unemployed, short on money, tough relationships, whatever it is, wherever you felt there's a lack in your life, definitely indicative with that Five of Pentacles of doing the hard work to make the changes, seeing things in a different way and taking action. Now, I say that because, and I love the next two cards that come out for you guys. There's a Hierophant and the Six of Cups. Now, these two cards together are kind of the epitome of the mother and the father, your ability to self-discipline and self-love. This is all about making better decisions for yourself. The Hierophant talks about commitment. So maybe some of you on a mundane level are considering a deeper commitment to something. This could be going back to school. This could be expanding your career in some way, and there's a lot about self-investment. Now, this also represents Taurus, which is Mars conjunct Uranus, making a square over to those Capricorn planets, or I'm sorry, the Aquarius planets in your first house. So again, this is first house, fourth house stuff. These are decisions that you'll have to make. Again, it's more emphasis on these decisions. When Keros is involved and there's timing, these could be things that you've been hoping for that are starting to come to fruition. I really like this atmosphere for you because it feels as though life is starting to come together. The hard work is starting to make sense. You're almost starting to get a hang of things. I like the Hierophant here because it tells me that whatever it is that you're doing, it's not about the shortcuts. It's not about getting things done as easy as you can. It's not about kind of saving. It's not about doing the things that you enjoy. It's about doing the things that you know are good for you. Remember that you are an investment. The time that you put into yourself, the care, the food, everything is energy and fuel for you. It's energy and fuel for your life. And when you see the Hierophant pop up, it means that we're moving into a time of growth and self-discipline in our lives so that we can prepare for the next level stuff. King of Swords is all about the next level stuff. It's about your vision for your future, and the Hierophant means what do you have to do to get there. When the Six of Cups comes up, oftentimes I'm called to there being a partnership, a significant relationship that comes to you. Oftentimes this happens when we, remember we still have Pluto, Venus, and a lot of 12th house stuff going on for you. So we're still in an element of bringing soulmates in. If you have been in a time where your circle has kind of closed, meaning some friendships have gone, disappeared, you've outgrown certain people or associations in your life, the new people will start to come in with the Six of Cups. Now, more so I feel with the Six of Cups is radical self-acceptance here. Self-love. This is your ability to forgive yourself for who you were in the past, your ability to forgive yourself for the bad decisions or the mistakes. It's a promise that it wasn't a failure, okay? Because at some point we all have to reach this place in our lives where we don't take everything so seriously. Look, guys, we weren't meant to get it perfect. The Uranus element within you kind of lends to an arena of perfectionism similar to that of Virgo. It's hard for you to accept anywhere where you may not be perfect, okay? Or you may not have the perfect advice, or you may not do the perfect things. And these things can really wear on you. Remember that Aquarius always has to deal with issues of not feeling like they quite fit in. So acceptance and self-love is super important for Aquarius. Right above this is the oracle card of the full moon in Cancer. A personal issue reaches resolution. Now, Cancer is definitely the fourth house place. Again, it's about your inner emotions and being vulnerable and finding a home. And when I see all of this blue here, especially I'm drawn to the blue within this Six of Cups here. I just feel like Aquarius is starting to take the easier road, and by that I mean the Hierophant, not doing things the hard way. Maybe this is beginning to accept advice from your elders, starting to actually look for answers. Like, if this is about your money, maybe it's time that you really start taking your investments seriously, start researching 401ks or things like that. Again, it's about your vision for your future. However you see fit and however you plan on that. This could be deciding whether you want to have children or not have children, live in this area or that area. It could be talking about a move of some sort. Like I said, going back to school. I like that when I see the full moon in Cancer, it feels like there is definitely an emotional fulfillment attached to this. And I think it's because you've been able to relinquish your expectations of others. Again, another thing that we kind of go through when we're in this Saturnian phase, we start to realize that oftentimes when Saturn is involved, oftentimes other people or extenuating circumstances they don't really come through, right? We seem to find ourselves like on our own. And when you release those expectations as well, then you can allow kind of magic to happen in its place. When you let go of relationships, then new ones always come in. So it's a time of opportunity, which was also suggested with the Keros card. And it's important that you stay open to new opportunities at this time. Now, your warning card or your protagonist card is that of the Eight of Pentacles. Now, this card is about being in your flow, okay? And this is where you might get a little tripped up. You know, I see this Eight of Pentacles as someone that's kind of keeping their head down, doing their work, trying not to make waves, avoiding confrontation in a lot of ways, which is kind of redundant to all of this blue, which talks about communication. If you notice, the sky is very gray behind them. In some ways, I think you might be pulled to either avoid confrontations this month or just not being able to say the things you really wish you could say, or not being able to be your authentic self. Maybe this is for the greater good. Maybe this is in a specific relationship or a job. Maybe this is with your parents or a group of friends. But whatever it is, it's a feeling like you could just keep your head down and keep doing things the same way that you've always done them, just to kind of save face. That would be a mistake this month, okay? This is why this is in your warning sign. If there are things that need to be said, you have to be courageous enough to say them. If you want to change your atmosphere from something that's kind of gray, you know, and when I think of a career this way, it's like, well, it pays the bills. You know, you're not excited to wake up in the morning, not excited to show up to the job, but you know it's a paycheck, which means you can keep yourself going. And as humans, we can get really stuck in these places. We can get really stuck in our comfort zones, even if they are miserable. We could forget to believe in miracles, and we could forget to our ability to create something better for ourselves. Now, that comes out right underneath this oracle card, card number 14, which breaks down to a 5. Oh my God, I can't pick it up. Slippery sucker. Truth be told. Maybe the truth or honesty is going to be kind of hard for you to grasp this month, Aquarius, or hard for you to really understand. I want to read this to you really quick. Number 14, truth be told. I'm actually going to read to you the relationship portion of it because it stuck out to me. Please remember that this doesn't have to necessarily be a romantic partner. This could be issues that you have going on with your kids, a neighbor, co-workers, friends, you know, whatever. People tell you who they are very quickly if you're willing to listen to what they say and pay attention to how they behave. This card calls you to engage in heartfelt, open conversation. It's time to see the truth about what you share with each other and tell the truth about who you are and what you need. No one can do that for you. Remember that your truth is always based in your personality and experience up to now. A higher truth will be found after you communicate honesty and see how doing so has helped you become more attuned to yourself. Don't hold back, speak your truth, and listen. Yeah, absolutely. This is about deepening your commitment to yourself. Maybe you have to, in some ways, really stick up for yourself. Or maybe this is your courage to choose your own path. There might be some people that aren't real happy with your decisions or your newfound independence. There might be some people in your life that kind of enjoy when you're in this. Now, that's not to be mean. It's not to say that they're bad people, but sometimes we get in these karmic relationships. Sometimes it's with a parent or a friend or a sibling, and it becomes kind of this toxic pattern of you making a mistake and then somebody saving you from it. And then you continue to live in this place of always making mistakes, and they continue to carry on this storyline of saving you or digging you out of a hole in some way. Now, we see this a lot in our teenage children, right? And there comes a time when they grow up and we have to relinquish control. As I see you expanding and moving on, maybe you're moving away from home, you know, there might be situations where you're forcing other people out of their comfort zones. Now, your final outcome is that of the Five of Swords. Card number 14 breaking down to a 5. It's all about the 5, meaning there will be change. The things that you do or say now will spur change in a lot of people, not just you. However, I do believe it is positive change. You have to have the courage to proceed with the things that you want and desire in your life, regardless of how it leaves others. You can't be afraid to change those toxic cycles within your relationships. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to necessarily write off a parent or a family member or friend. It just means that you have to change the dynamic of the relationship. You no longer need anyone to come to your rescue because you are an adult now and you do these things for yourself. So you have to allow the relationship to kind of grow and change with you. It always does. It always will. But it doesn't always happen immediately. Remember, karma means there's time, and there's a lot about time within your reading. Now, the overall energy is the 2 of Pentacles and the 9 of Pentacles. This is all about choosing you, choosing your independence and your authenticity and who you truly are and expressing yourself in that way. Regardless of what kind of relationships there are, I think this is Aquarius ending negative patterns and starting fresh and new. Believing in themselves, and that's what changes the relationships. It's just a really growing up time for you, Aquarius. It actually feels really good. I feel that you have such beautiful, wonderful people with you at this time. At least one, if not a few, that are very supportive of you. They're really helping you see the strength within yourself. The rest of the people will kind of take care of themselves as you start to change. So I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time worrying about it. All right, Aquarius, I'm going to leave you with that for the month. I do hope that you have a wonderful January. I'll be back for the mid-months, and then I'll be seeing you again in February. Have a great month, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.